Jesse makes it on Breaking Bad. It's like black beans, over easy eggs. Um, do you know what that recipe is called?
I do not, unfortunately, off the top of my head.
You do know of the recipe I'm talking
I
about,
think
though, yes?
so.
Uh,
I believe I do.
black beans and eggs.
But to be fair, I'm
Recipe.
losing my certainty moment by moment.
Uh, it's frijoles something, but like,
Uh,
um, Mexican black beans and eggs?
that might be.
Oh, huevos rancheros.
Ah, haha, see.
Okay. Come on, Alejo, you're supposed to know this stuff. Um, anyway,
I think I've had huevos rancheros like once in my life.
I think all of us who grew up poor have.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm considering making like a quiche where like you mix in heavy cream and stuff to make like you know whip up the eggs, stir it all together. I'll probably add like a dash or two of taco seasoning.
Right.
Um, for the toppings, I will probably do like ham and black beans,
Okay.
green onion, white onion, etc.
Yeah.
Jalapeno probably.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I will probably top it with like Gouda and taco cheese.
Yeah.
How do you think that sounds?
I think it sounds interesting, and I think that you should try it.
Okay, cool. So exactly where I was at before. Cool.
Yep.
Thank you for your considerable help.
You're welcome. Hey, you asked me.
No, it is true. I did approach you
Yes.
and ask, "Hey, could I get a quiche idea from you?" And you were like, "Yeah, sure."
Yep.
And I was like, "Fills me with faith." Okay.
You're welcome.
This is about like on brand with what I expected.
I'm glad to be exactly as you expected.
You certainly did not exceed expectations, but you did not fail my expectations either.
This is why I promise nothing and I deliver less.
Yeah, yes, dude, I love that quote.
It's so good. It's one of the best.
I am your second host, Captain Chiral.
That's right. Hello, and welcome back to Table Talk Discussion and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Great95. And I have a water bottle that I am drinking from. Alright. Ugh.
Assassin's Creed that I am playing because I bought this game years ago and I'm like, you know what, fuck it.
Which one?
Odyssey.
I stopped playing Odyssey, like, a little ways in, because I just was like, this feels too, combat heavy, because I'm literally a Spartan's descendant.
Mm.
And, like, all the themes and everything just pointed me towards combat, and, like, yeah, you can assassinate and stuff, but it didn't feel like Origins. It really didn't.
Okay. Like, the reason why so far, like, I'm just in the beginning, but so far it feels less Assassin's Creed-y and more general RPG-y.
Yes. Yep.
Which is fine for me.
That's fair. I was going into it with a different expectation, and it was not what I wanted at the time.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, but I sort of wore myself sick of the Assassin's Creed formula. The Ubisoft formula in general.
Well, so it worked really well for Origins, I will say. But the Assassin's Creed formula, because it felt right. I don't know. I could probably, if I really thought about it, I could probably give you some better like references and examples. But I don't know. For me, it worked really, really well for what I wanted from an Assassin's Creed game. Whereas
I actually hated Origins.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
So, one of the things that going into the Assassin's Creed franchise is that I've always liked has been the history aspect of it. And sure,
Yes.
they take some artistic license.
Sure.
But I generally like the settings.
Yeah.
I don't care about American history. So
The Origins
already
isn't American history.
isn't it like
Origins is Egypt.
Origins. Yes. Okay, yeah. Well, as it is, I've never played Origins.
You should, if you
But
ever
as it is, I don't usually care about Egypt either.
Absolutely fair.
I care about it more than American history. Good God.
As you should.
What's the American history one?
That's 3.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
3 I didn't like.
Right. It's the one that I played for like a little while and then I just stopped.
Yeah, everyone has varied reasons why they don't like it, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, RPGs and Poison, which is
Well,
also
yeah.
tangentially related because Assassins.
That's true. Well, I wanted to say a couple of things firsthand. Before we first of before? Yes.
You'll
First
get
off,
there.
I got email from the representative of the Dice Company, Mr. Dice himself, has told me that they have been shipped, and I have a tracking number that I can use to track the shipment. So the dice are officially on their way.
How nice of them to personally email you.
We've had a nice correspondence. It's been nice. Very professional.
One email to you to which you did not respond.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Professional.
Yes. No, actually,
Are
I
they
did
all
respond.
are they all headed to your place?
Yes, I will be receiving them all, and then I will be sending them all from here.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm gonna be getting a PO box first, so that I don't just use my my address as the return address if something should go awry.
Yeah. You don't want to dox yourself.
No, not again. Yeah. So that's coming. And I wanted to mention that I watched Train to Busan the other night. Have you ever seen Train to Busan?
I have not.
My man, I will hands down tell you, it is literally my favorite zombie movie now. Entirely.
Really?
Yes. Like, you want some fucking good characters, some actually intelligent decisions, and some interesting zombies? You go and you watch that movie, and that is all I will say.
Just BUSAN.
Yes, Train to Busan. It's a Korean film.
So, I will give you a tangentially related train movie.
Oh!
On Saturday.
Yes.
It was $3 movie day.
Oh.
So I went to the movies.
Oh.
And I saw Bullet Train.
Bullet Train.
It is an action comedy that I think it was directed by the guy who directed the John Wick movies.
Oh, okay.
And stars Brad Pitt and is also really funny.
Okay.
I would wholeheartedly recommend it. If you find yourself inclined to go to the movies, I would see Bullet Train.
Okay. I will keep that in mind. Anyway, it seems that
It seems the one who has requested this topic is not awake.
Exactly, and also it seems that this topic does not seem to spark much interest. But that is all right. We will continue on ahead, as we always do. Let's start talking about poisons. Poison.
Real quick, can I give my take on poisons?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I would love to hear your take.
I would like to see poisons become more lethal. In
Okay.
general, they feel like diseases,
Mm,
more of an inconvenience and just something that kind of slogs down gameplay.
sure.
Um, they oftentimes don't feel thematic,
Hmm.
um, or fitting. Um, and I would actually propose a change to how poisons act in general.
Okay.
Um, so first off, you get say someone coats their blade in poison. It poisons you. There is no con save, you are now poisoned. However,
Interesting.
depending upon your con score, like you will start rolling at the beginning of each round con
Hmm.
saving throws. If you fail saving throws, you can go down a stage. If you succeed them, you can go up a stage.
Sure.
Depending, and of course, if your con score is higher, it will be easier to pass them, and like poison won't hit you as heavily just as it does in real life, i.e., the food poisoning versus people who have an iron stomach.
Right. Right.
Um, so poison will have potentially get worse and worse and start dealing instead of d4s of damage like d6s or maybe even like d8s.
Hmm.
Um, if you successively like keep failing stages. Sort of like in Pathfinder 2E's like poison system where
Hmm.
like if you crit fail like a con save. Um I do think that in general most poisons would have a maximum time limit. Um where like that I don't have as fleshed out, but I'd say maybe generally a minute.
Hmm.
Um, but if you get poisoned, like someone poisons their blade and poisons you, and you don't get to roll the con save, if you still roll the con saves successfully, you will like still be quote unquote poisoned. You
Hmm.
just won't ever feel any of the effects.
Okay. Um, it's a potential way to do it. Um, the the interesting thing about poisons, at least in their current form for this current edition, um, is the whole how easy it is to usually get past them, right? Um, and I guess um, how familiar are you with the poisons in 5e, just in general?
Most of them just grant the poisoned condition or maybe do a d4 of damage.
No,
Hmm?
not true. Um, so
That's how I remember them from my campaign. Poison
so
5e.
poisons, and this is why I wanted to start with some stuff, some actual source material here first. So, if you were to go into your little DMG for 5e, uh, and go to page 257, you would reach a section called Poisons. Now let me pull this up on the screen. Let's see. Can I do this in a way that isn't going to be too bad? Oh, it's gonna need some adjusting, but I can do that just fine. Whoa. Um,
Like,
so,
say for instance, even Assassin's Blood, right?
mhm,
Only deals 1d12 poison damage,
mhm,
and the creature is poisoned for 24 hours, which
sure,
gives disadvantage.
sure.
Um, that doesn't feel as lethal as the name Assassin's Blood would imply.
I agree with you. I'm not saying that it is as lethal as it should be, slash as effective as one might want it to be. I'm just stating that each of these poisons are at least more than just a D4. You know, they're
Yeah,
variable.
yeah, no. They're variable, but they're all underwhelming.
Yeah. I think the most interesting one is probably the torpor, just because of it literally putting you out for hours. 4d6 hours. But I will say that, let's see, you have something like the pale tincture, which is actually kind of interesting that you could buff a little bit, in the sense of it not being able to be healed back from, and then needing to have successful saving throws to even be able to just heal it back. There's some interesting concepts here that we can use to kind of craft better poisons with the system that we have in play. But I wanted to also point out that in 5e, they continued the thing that was from 3.5 at least, which I have as well, as a point of reference, where you have your contact, ingested, inhaled, and injury poisons, which is good to have as your categories of what can be or how they can be applied, right? Which you barely see some of these kinds of things, like an inhaled poison. It's cool. They're all pretty cool, but you really only see the ingested and the injury ones, right? Contact is a creature thing, and it's not something that I usually consider as a like its own form, right? It is also an injury in a way, though it is just upon touching it. You know?
In general, I rule that like most contact ones, I just shift them to injury.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's just kind of the way that they work in that kind of sense.
Oh, I will also add my most recent experience with Venoms was admittedly a dick move on my part.
Sure.
You know Displacer Beasts?
Yes.
You know how in 5e they don't have the thing that they used to have in 3.5 where like you toss a coin and it's heads or tails, like you may just like flat out miss.
Yeah.
Before you can roll the AC.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a Displacer Beast combat in one of my campaigns somewhat recently, and it was a boss fight. And I decided, I like Displacer Beasts. I'm gonna make them a little more lethal in my world. They're rare as hell, but like pretty lethal. So you know the tentacles that they have on their back with like the little like squid portions like at the end that have like the little like talons?
Yes.
I made the talons hollow and essentially fangs. And when they hit you, they could potentially poison you if you failed a con save.
Sure.
And if you failed the con save, your vision would blur.
Okay.
In addition to the blurring effect that they already have on them.
Oh.
So instead of one coin toss, you had to do two.
Oh.
And then beat the AC. So
Well.
it's a flat 1 in 4 chance, and then AC.
Jeez.
Course, the Displacer Beast died before it could really use it.
Right.
Because it was fighting a whole party of adventurers and wound up getting compulsed to march into the middle of them.
Right.
Which kind of fucked it over.
A little bit.
A lot of it. And then it decided to run and then took 3 attacks of opportunity. Golly, was not feeling good after that. But hey, I'll get him next time.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and obviously, for some other poison related things, we can obviously look back, and I have, of course, a couple of pages from the Dungeon Master's Guide from 3.5. Page 297 is the table of all of the poisons that you have and what they do, and interestingly enough, most of these kinds of things, most of the poison and the venom and such, they do stat damage. They mostly do stat damage instead of just flat damage. So it would actually affect you more than just it being you get disadvantage on your attack rolls, or you lose like a d6 or a d12. It's literally, oh yeah, Malus root paste, contact DC 16, initial damage 1 dex, secondary damage 2d4 dex. Like it's some bad stuff, you know. These ones I think feel a lot more lethal because they quite literally take away your ability to fight. And the more that you succumb to that poison, the less you have in terms of that capability, and the more likely you are to die because of it.
Yeah, like it targets a resource that you don't have 158 of.
Right.
You have 11 of.
Right.
B, it's very easy for a ranger to go, oh god, if my dex goes from like 16 down to 10, I'm now going to hit the target less, which means I'm likely to get poisoned again.
Right, exactly. Almost forgot the show was tonight. Well, hello, Slay. Welcome to the show. But yeah, so I think taking away because again, there are I don't know for certain, but there are very few monsters and things that can drain your stats in 5e as far as I am aware, and I will check ability drain.
I think wraiths are fairly unique in that.
Shadows as well, I know that much for a fact. Yeah, shadows have a strength drain ability. Intellect
Vampires
Devourers
don't have it anymore.
No.
Oh, Intellect Devourers do.
Yeah.
Wraiths actually were changed to a life drain.
There you go. They've completely removed it from a lot of things. Which, sure. But I don't know. I think it's again something that really takes away from the lethality of 5e. Yeah, at least, you know, from my perspective.
I mean, like, you can always balance enemies around stuff. So, like, you take away one key ability, like, say, the Wraith. You take away its ability to steal levels, because, admittedly, that does feel kind of bad.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Hate that.
And just make it life drain.
Right.
But, like, this is one of the reasons why I'm such a big proponent of, like, looking at monster manuals in between editions and even in other games. Because, like, there's so much stuff that's, like, gets either less lethal or that you can use for inspiration. Hell, that's why I own the first 3 Pathfinder bestiaries.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, that's just another example of poisons that you can kind of draw inspiration from if you have any. If you want to keep it within your D&D sphere, I guess, in a way that you can kind of port them over easily enough. Um, the the other thing that I wanted to point out, though, is why poison seems to be something that is thrown on the wayside. Now, we all know, monsters. Most of them are immune. And by most of them, I mean I don't know how many there are now, but according to D&D Beyond, which has a very useful filtration tool to find monsters with specific damage resistances and immunities and condition immunities. I compiled a little list, and that is 3 results that I got. The first one being there are 710 monsters. Some of these are repeats because they are quote-unquote legacy monsters from books that were re-released. But regardless, they also are there with the same immunity. 710 that are immune to the poison condition in general, so you just can't poison them. 654 that are immune to poison damage itself, so the traditional using that poison to inflict damage doesn't apply. And then 103 that are resistant to poison damage. This is just, like, a lot.
Yeah, so, like, this is kind of one of the reasons why, in prepping for a campaign I had recently, there was a player who, God bless her, she was, like, hyped because her rogue was going, like, with an alchemist background. And she was like, oh, I can make all sorts of poisons that, like, do stuff to monsters. And I'm like, yes, you can. Might be less effective than you think. And, like, that's when I, like, sort of took a mental inventory of, like, I didn't have specific numbers, but I was like, now a bunch of monsters are just gonna have their poison immunity just taken away.
Yeah, exactly. It really makes it a lot less fun if you want to use poison. It just flat out makes it impossible for a lot of it, which is annoying.
Evolutionarily, the way poisons and poison immunity works is kind of like an arms race. And the world that they present in 5e is one in which the poisoners have deadass lost.
Yes. 100%. And yet these poisons still exist.
Yeah, what does it matter if, like, a king cobra bites, I don't know, a desert gerbil? Those aren't creatures, but they are now.
They are now.
It bites a desert gerbil, and the desert gerbil says, bitch, and walks away.
Right, yeah.
The state's feelings are going to be hurt.
Oh, by the way, I will have to drop out for about 20 minutes again, just to go get my roommate. You
bastard.
Yeah. I'll put on some jazz. But yeah, so it's like, and to be fair, most adventurers aren't immune to poison. Most people in your world aren't immune to poison. So it's still there for that reason, I suppose. But, like, the poisoner is going to want to use that poison on more than just random people. Probably, I hope. They're going to want to use that skill that they have whilst you go out and do your dungeon crawls or your cross-continent adventure and to go slay the dragon, right? And the dragon's already immune to poison, so what's the point of using, like, one of his skills that he's perfected over years?
Yeah, like, it's one of the things where, like, if I were an assassin, right?
Yes.
And I were looking through the Book of Poisons in 5e, I would like to assassinate the Emperor with.
Of course.
I pick none of them.
Yeah.
And then just stab the Emperor through his throat.
Right, yeah.
Because good God, it's like, yeah, cool. It does like 2d12 damage. Yay! Like, assumedly, the Emperor may be an NPC, but assumedly, they are a veteran of some engagement.
Sure.
And assumedly, they would have some levels.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why you go for purple worm poison every time.
Yeah, I guess.
Apparently, because it's the only one that's like something that might actually work with a 19 save. It's something that at least you have a higher chance of making be your actual thing. Like, obviously, you know, for the thematic purpose and for the storytelling purpose of just like, oh yeah, you poison the guy and you watch as he, you know, suffocates in his own vomit as he's throwing up constantly because of the thing, you know, just making his entire stomach lining just completely, you know, tear away, and I don't know.
Yeah, it puts him through having a period, but for the stomach.
Right. And and so you can obviously do that as a DM and allow them to still use poisons to that effect. But if you want to let them also use it mechanically, like they need something here. You need to do something about it. And the other thing about poison making or buying is, one, it's pretty expensive, but to be fair, you got nothing else to spend your gold on, so I guess that's fine. And two, crafting them in the DMG here on page 258, it uses it as a downtime activity, right? And we've talked about downtime stuff before and how we don't really view it as, you know, this is the period between, like, that we have now associated, this is downtime, what are you doing downtime? Like, we kind of just role play it out personally. But this is the point of, like, if you're doing things by the book, quote unquote, you're in the middle between adventure 1 and adventure 2, and now you go, okay, what are you doing? Are you and your character goes, or sorry, your player goes, my character goes to make poison. And you go, okay, so you need to go and hunt a creature. Let's see how that goes. And then it's like, okay, you need to make a DC 20 nature check, and then you can extract the poison. But if you don't, you get the poison if you fail by 5. So if you get a 15 or less, you get poisoned. Uh-oh. Which, granted, interesting, but again, the turning that into a kind of a quest that you can be doing between adventures, between your story hooks, would be something that would probably be a little bit more engaging. But again, this is preference now, peeking through.
Yeah.
So
So you were talking that whole time, and all I could think of was I was off in my own world because I was imagining a one shot where it is your goal to go around and hunt these various monsters and get the poison from their corpse to make a super poison to kill the Emperor.
Sure.
Because you're part of an assassin's guild.
Hell yeah. Absolutely could be the thing. And that's cool. Because, like, yeah, it even says the creature must be incapacitated or dead, and it requires 1d6 minutes, which why even put it as a random number? I don't understand. That's strange. Yeah. But sure, fuck it, I guess. I would just say a flat fucking 5 to 10 minutes. Like, you don't need to. Anyway. And then you do that check, and then I guess the nice thing though is that if you have proficiency in the poisoner's kit, it does apply to the check, so that's nice. Even if you don't have proficiency in nature, but you better have taken proficiency in nature, I guess, just to give you that little extra boost. Yeah. So you know that's
better take proficiency in nature. in case you want to use poisons.
Yeah.
When every creature is immune to poison.
Right, exactly. We're getting into a weird loop here. And then if we go look at Xanathars,
I'm going to do a suboptimal build, and I'm going to play a ranger that uses poisons.
hell yeah. So we go to page 83 in our Xanathars guide, and we look at the Poisoner's Kit, which allows you to apply poisons without exposure to yourself of its effects. That's nice. It lets you get it lets you have lore of poisons, like which plants and animals make poison that you would need, or if they're poisonous and such. You know, you get to be able to treat poison better, all that kind of stuff. And you can spot a poisoned object with a DC 10 and determine the effects of a poison with a DC 20 check for these kinds of things. A few more things, obviously, that you can combine with skills. So Xanathars gives you a few things that you can do, at least with the Poisoner's Kit, which are interesting for roleplay and such. But again, I know the mechanics and optimizing isn't everything, but it is a serious turnoff when you look at it and you go, well, I'm not going to be useful for like any part of the fights for a lot of people. Now, granted, you could be the specialist who works in towns more so, and in the fights you have a different role, right? You give people things. You're more of the support in that aspect, right? Whereas when you're trying to do your assassinations inside of the city, you can the best ways to get to these people and slip them their poisons, or whatever you like in that kind of respect. There are obviously millions of ways you can go to make that more interesting for you if that's the way you go. But if you're hell-bent on getting that Poisoner's Kit so that you can poison everything, you just go and look back, and again, what is it, 700 and something, 710 are immune to the condition, while 654 of those are actually just immune to damage in general for poison. Like, it really does reek of what's the point, which is unfortunate, because it's a playstyle that a lot of people might really enjoy. And it just, like, it makes it so that the DM has to do more work in order to get it so that everybody can have fun, when it should be, at least from my perspective, that the system itself should allow for this to be a viable thing in most situations. Some things obviously can be completely immune, and that's fine. There's like, you go and you fight a giant venomous snake and you have venom of the snake, it's probably gonna be immune to that, like,
yeah.
Certain situations are gonna make sense where it doesn't apply, but in a lot of cases, I feel like just letting them be able to at least do some more damage than just, I stab him with my knife with my poison. I only do the D4? Okay. Well, okay. Great. I think it's a little, it's just something you want to do. You want to give them that thing. So, that being said, we move over to the video, because good ol' Bob World Builder, who we have covered before, has the best poison house rule for D&D 5e. It better be the best, because all the other videos that I saw were just, they didn't really, like, give me anything. So this is the only video I have prepared today.
The best, or your money back.
That's right. Guaranteed. So.
I'm gonna go grab another drink and I'll be ready.
Absolutely. I will sit here for a little bit and say words. Oh boy. This is another problem that I see with poison. Nobody really talks about it to such a degree. Because it's kind of, again, it's thrown on the wayside. There are a few more videos that were potentials than I had for
A
for
return.
poison. Oh, hey. There were a few more videos that I had as potentials for that we could go for poison, but a lot of them are mostly just this is the best poison. And let me look at it again. Look at this list of videos. Yeah, this is the best poison. That one I didn't want to cover because it featured a child prominently, and I didn't feel comfortable. When the guy's just talking about poison, and I'm just like, I don't understand why the child is there.
You do poison.
Yes. Yeah, one of them being on the feet from Tasha's, which I mean, we can talk about it a little bit later. Just because I don't think we need to cover the full video on it. There's a video from if you're interested out there, Chance's D&D spell book. Chance's D&D spell book. If you look up Poison 5e, you'll find it pretty easily, and it's just him talking about the poisoner feat. And that's it. I watched like 5 minutes of the video, and it's like a 7-minute video, and I was like, yeah, there's nothing we could add here, right? And then there was Nerdarchy stuff from like 7 years ago, but we had already covered a Nerdarchy video like last week, so can't do that again. But so yeah, we'll see what we have for the best homebrew house rule, excuse me. And we'll see where we go from here. See what else we have for the conversation.
One of these mugs is safe. The other contains a naturally derived compound that in high enough doses results in imminent cardiac arrest. We'll find out which one in a minute. But check out these awesome poisons in the 5e Dungeon Master's Guide. Carrion Crawler Mucus, contact-based and harvested from, you guessed it, a giant squelchy worm. This poison can paralyze your target for 1 minute. And another, Midnight Tears, must be ingested but takes no effect until the stroke of midnight.
Right, but you're not showing the full thing of them. Carrion Crawler Mucus has a DC of 13 for Constitution saving throw.
Give me like 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So the Carrion Crawler Mucus has a DC of 13, whilst the Midnight Tears have a DC of 17. There you go. That's one that I would actually like look to and say, yeah, let's do it. Like, and you're not saying how much damage they do or what. Like, I mean, the mucus is literally just paralyzes. That's it. But the Midnight Tears, they do 9d6 poison damage on a failed save and half on a successful one. They will do damage regardless. Though that's important to note. The Carrion Crawler Mucus is extremely easy to save from. And you can repeat saving throws on each of your turns to end the effect. Whilst the Midnight Tears, that's it. Like, once you do the save, it's ready and it's over. So you take the damage. I think that these are important things to note, just to show the range of these poisons. Like, I think Carrion Crawler Mucus is literally Carrion Crawler is like DC, what, like 1? What is the DC of a Carrion Crawler? Let's see. For 5e. Carrion Crawler 5e, thank you. Stats, yes, thank you. Armor class of 13. It's a challenge 2. I was close. Like, yeah, I don't. I guess don't let it near a low Constitution character. But ultimately, like, let me just give you, with about 51 hit points on average, the 13 AC, and Spider Climb. Okay, it has multi-attack. With tentacles that do the poison, and then a bite that does not do the poison. with a +8 to hit on the excuse me, goodness. A +8 to hit on the tentacles, so most likely with a reach of 10 feet, so most likely it will hit you. And then the bite with a +4. Like, I'm kind of, I know I'm appealing to mechanics a bit, but it's one of those things where I think the math at least makes it so that you will most likely not have to worry about the carrion crawler mucus at least. With the midnight tears, that's more interesting, because then you have more potential there of like finding out, oh my god, by midnight you're gonna die, you know, stuff like that. Anyway.
Harvesting substances from monsters, racing against the clock for a cure. Poisons offer a lot of adventurous opportunities in D&D. But when I asked, do you or any player characters in your game use poison, over 40% said no.
But wait. Yeah, but over 50% said yes, which is interesting. That's it. I know that that's a big number, but these are 2 yeses. Like, I understand. Yeah, a lot of people don't. Sure. But also, like, I guess a follow-up would be why, you know? Because no, poison is yucky really doesn't tell me a lot. It just tells me that they don't use it. Or that they just don't like it, but I don't know why, you know?
So we're going to break down the problems of how poison officially works in 5e and provide some simple ideas to make it fun and easy to use without your player characters taking advantage of it. Because I'm Bob, this is where we learn how to have more fun playing D&D together, and Graceful Destroyer is here to help me find the dangerous substance in one of these mugs.
This one.
Oh, what? Oh, it's just delicious coffee from Many Worlds Tavern, the online coffee company that makes the perfect coffee for game night. You just chugged that whole thing.
And since I actually like coffee, unlike Bob, I can confirm that this is good coffee.
Yeah, but I have tried the decaf, and it is good.
They also have a limited Treasured Realm coffee that comes with a set of dice, 5e magic item, and limited edition stickers.
Neat. I don't have much to say about this. It's coffee. Neat. I will say this is a short video. We're already almost 2 minutes in. Okay.
And Many Worlds Tavern donates $1 from each purchase to gaming-related nonprofits, so be one of the first 100 people to use code BOB10.
Hold on. Let me put this in the description, the video link in the description, so that if you have any interest whatsoever, you are absolutely able to go and go check that out. Because this was back in June, so who knows what the current state of this sponsorship is, but regardless, good for you, Bob.
And save 10% using the link below. Now, for those who were worried, we're not trying poison in real life, but we are looking at the top responses on that post for why people don't use or even don't like poison in 5e.
Okay.
And here's the big one. So many creatures have poison resistance or immunity.
Well, there's more to this. But yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree, but also I would love to see the full comment, you know?
Many people said this, I've heard it said for years, but is it true? Well, roughly 100 5e monsters have poison resistance, and 640 have poison immunity.
Yes.
And if we compare that to the other damage types, poison is actually about average for resistance. It's tied with the number of creatures resistant to acid, and less than the number of creatures resistant to necrotic, lightning, fire, and surprisingly the greatest, cold damage.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Though, I guess the fire I understand. Fire, lightning, and cold I understand being higher just because spells are more likely to do those kinds of damage than necrotic, poison, and so on. Force being the one that, like, yeah, nothing is resistant to. 20 out of 600, sorry. Who knows how many monsters there are now in 5e? I don't actually know. But there are a lot. I should have looked at how many monsters are in it. But yeah, I mean, cold being that high, I guess, are there more cold spells, cold damage spells than there are fire? Is that why? I don't know.
The wild part, however, is that the number of creatures immune to poison damage is almost on par with the number of creatures immune to acid, cold, fire, force, lightning, necrotic, psychic, radiant, and thunder combined.
Yeah, that's the issue, right? Why? Why is this the case? And like, so I'm assuming it's for balance reasons in the sense of the poison condition, right? Because the poison condition is extremely detrimental to everything. It makes it so that you have disadvantage on all attack rolls. And I think that might be it, though I don't think that is true now that I am thinking. So let me pull out from my bag of wonders my player's handbook very quickly here. My player's handbook says, wow, I just had a moment where I completely forgot what I was doing. Oh no. Uh-oh. I legitimately just forgot exactly what I was doing. Oh no. That's bad. I was making a big pomp and circumstance about pulling out the book that I legitimately have forgotten. Oh, poison condition. There we go, brain. Thank you. Yeesh. Well, I'm gonna die. No, it isn't just attack rolls. It's also ability checks. So, this is on page 292 of the Player's Handbook, of the 5e Player's Handbook. Back in the Appendix A of conditions. Yeah, it says a poison creature has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks, which ability checks also mean skill checks. So you are disadvantaged for everything for a little while, which is just how it be. Unfortunately, with Aiden away at the moment, I have to step out, so I've got to go and get that royalty-free jazz, and play that again for you. This is going to be the same jazz that I played last time, starting from the same exact point, so that I ended. So if you're keeping up with your episodes, this is that. I am telling Boo that I am muting things. So, we'll be right back.
To see poison last, like, for instance, say a minute, in each round you might be taking 1d12 poison damage.
Yeah, geez, yeah, that'd be rough, but it would make a hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah, but like that 1d12 poison damage is only if you fail like 3 saves.
Yeah, true.
Like, and drop down successive stages on how badly the poison is affecting you.
Yeah.
So like round 1 you fail, and it goes to a d6 damage that you take. Round 2, you fail. You take a D8 damage.
Yeah.
Round 3, you fail. A D10. Round 4,
Yeah.
a D12. But like, if you succeed,
It goes
then,
up a stage.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of taking a D8 damage, you go, whew, okay, I'm only taking a D6 damage this round.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask you, but is it like each time you get poisoned, it's like a skill challenge, basically, quote unquote, where you have successes and fails, and you're just trying to get like the most amount of successes as possible, or is it just like you have a certain amount that you will just take?
I would say like after 3 successes.
Okay, so, gotcha.
Actually, after an amount of successes changes based on the poison.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
it could
So-
ramp up harder.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
you could make it so that the poison just, like, actually, I kind of misspoke there. You make it so that the poison ramps up harder. So it starts off at a D6, and then you go straight to a D10, and then straight to a D100, and then you're just dead now.
I think too that like using this method for how poisons act can open up the door for a whole bunch of poisons that behave in all sorts of different and unique ways.
Yeah.
Allowing assassins to use poisons based on what kind of job they want to do.
Ooh.
Or B, having more than 10 poisons total in the DMG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Hello,
PHB, actually.
Hello, how are you, Boo?
I'm good. I just woke up.
Yeah. Well, now everything is able to be heard, and, well, it's been able to be heard for a little bit, but, yeah. So, welcome, as always.
Yes.
We're talking about poison, as you already know.
Yeah. FBI guy. Calm
That's
down.
right. FBI. We're talking about controlled substances of poison in
Of the poisonous
fantasy
variety.
worlds. Yeah. I didn't see you say that. I missed that opportunity. I just saw that.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry about that jazz break, everyone. But it was jazz. I hope you like jazz.
was
If you don't like
jazz.
jazz, then, well.
next time there's a break, you ought to get ridiculously hard metal.
I should,
Just for no reason.
I'll see if
like
I
Doom
vote-
Eternal
I-
levels.
I vote for that.
I should. You're right.
And then every
I-
time there's a
I-
break, you just pick a different genre.
Right,
I
yeah.
I
true.
can give you a couple.
Well, they need to be
recommendations.
royalty free. That's the thing. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I can no
Well,
longer give you recommendations.
I can do some digging. Regardless, we were just at the start, basically, of this video. Hey, Mog, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Also, I didn't read this, but it says, August said, "Ladies and gentlemen, did you ever meet someone who wished ill of? Someone who you wished ill of, I assume, that the sound of their name puts a bad taste in your mouth? Well, I have a
Yes.
solution for you. Introducing
Poison.
Poison. Good for all
Yeah.
ages." On a serious note, poison is always an interesting thing that feels underwhelming as an item or a mechanic or when used in actual gameplay, and it's a shame especially for political/stealthy games.
Yes.
I read that comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
Well, Alejo's got to read it. He's the leader.
well, it was muted before, Aiden, so you weren't heard. I said that I muted it.
Oh, so everything we said wasn't heard.
I literally
Oh.
said it in the thing.
Oh, we're dumb.
Oh,
That's okay.
Reading is hard, I
Alright.
know.
cool.
okay.
Well, that whole time I was reading comments from the
From Great
The
On, our
audience.
new
That's right.
viewer.
That's right.
our new viewer Great On,
Yep,
who
yep.
I've encouraged to donate to us on Patreon.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he'll get
Yeah.
right on that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What a shame. What a shame.
Well, don't say he. You don't know their gender.
True. I'm sorry.
It's true.
I looked at their bio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You check the bio of everybody who comments?
No, I only checked that
Okay.
one because he seemed very. I don't know. It's just something called to me.
Oh, okay.
Just got a vibe off them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I think he and I are of the same mind of some things.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
God.
doing great. I saw Cody's video come up on his take on 1D&D. The simp is real. I didn't watch it, but watched others react to it. So I've seen. So this is the thing. I don't care, right, about what he says.
Yeah.
But I've seen that people have reacted to it in the sense of like I even saw, what was it? Who's the guy who calls himself like the professor and stuff that we covered that one? Dungeon Craft, I think.
Oh god, Dungeon Craft.
He even responded and said, "No, you're wrong." And I'm like, "Oh my god."
The hell?
Because he was like, "Oh no, I totally agree with what he said with Pathfinder." At least that's what I saw from the thumbnail of his video of his response. So I was like, "Oh, this is weird." But from what I gather, at least from descriptions of that video, was he was talking about the VTT and how it is going to really change things.
No,
and I'm
not.
like, no, VTTs have existed forever.
Well, not forever, but
Well, you know what I mean. But like,
yeah, way longer than like took them
theirs.
fucking 5 years.
Yeah, than the official one, and they might still be better. Who knows?
Yeah.
But regardless, that's 2 years down the line, and I don't really see it being too much of a game changer because of the VTT. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my take to just the concept of his video. I don't care to watch it because
Fair enough.
it's Cody's video on 1D&D. What else? What is he gonna say that I don't already know? Really, at this point, he knows exactly the same as all the rest of us.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, isn't even that much.
It isn't even that much, exactly.
So there's not much point in even bothering.
Literally, I can just look at the playtest material and be like, okay, I'm up to date.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to keep talking about poison. Now, we had gotten to the point here in the video where Bob had put out that there are 640 that are completely immune to the poison damage.
Yes.
After saying there are 100 or so, which I must say, again, I went in and looked through D&D Beyond's little filter tool that uses all the books and such, as far as I'm aware. He's wrong in a couple of things. It's 103 that are resistant and 654 that are immune totally.
What
now, he might have taken out the duplicates of the ones from the legacy stuff.
Yeah.
But regardless, there's a lot. And then, Boo, you weren't here for it, but there are also 710 of them total, including the duplicates, that are immune to the condition of being poisoned.
Okay.
Which
Not
basically
just the
means they can't be poisoned anyway, so.
Yeah. Not just the damage.
Yeah, and I was going into it a little bit saying, like, when you're poisoned, you have disadvantage to basically everything.
Yeah,
right?
Which is real nasty, honestly.
Yeah, it is your attacks and your ability checks, which goes into skills as well. It's not your saving throws, thankfully, but it's pretty
then
bad.
You've got the infinity hole.
Yes, exactly. Then you'd be fucking dead.
Yeah.
Is this immunity across the editions or just one? Just in 5e.
Holy shit.
Yep. I don't believe it's that bad in previous editions, though I don't have anything to back up that claim.
So fucking talk, dude. No.
That's right. So anyone is free to tell me otherwise. That is fine. But we had just gotten to this point after that coffee ad, and we're hopefully going to learn something in the next 6 minutes.
Hey,
We'll
Boo.
Yes.
I am going to roll up a ranger who uses poisons for my next campaign.
So is that a joke? You being serious?
Oh, it's a fucking joke.
Oh, okay. Because honestly, that sounds cool. Because I had an idea for a ranger.
Yeah, it does sound cool. Shit would be such shit.
That was the thing. Remember how I'm like, man, the blowgun is really cool.
Yes, that's right.
So, are we already in a watch together?
Yes,
we got
yes,
a video coming up.
we're in the
so
watch
hang on.
together.
So I'm not in there. Let me get in there real
yeah,
quick. And then once we see the video, I would like to posit my shit because I've got like a whole thing
Absolutely.
that I
would
wanted to
love
talk about.
Yeah.
Because whenever I say I want to talk about it, it's less that I want to watch some videos on it. I actually have shit to add.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is this I just want to see, because this one is literally the best poison house rules for D&D 5e as claimed by Bob World Builder. So we shall see if this is the best. If this has, it might even overlap with some of your additions that you might have later. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Holy crap, I didn't even know they made that many official monsters in 5e. Yeah, basically, right? Like, there's a lot now. It's because of all the supplements and the modules, you know? Anyway.
That is really weird. We definitely need to correct for that massively skewed immunity to poison, and I have 2 simple ways we can do it. 1. Use other damage types. It's a magical world, and there's no reason a poison that raises a creature's body temperature shouldn't cause fire damage.
Yes.
Psychic damage could apply to any poison that affects the target's mind, and necrotic also feels like it should play a bigger role in this department.
Yeah, I mean, just right off the bat, yeah.
Yeah, that was
considered it, but yeah.
That was one of the exact things that I wanted to bring up.
There we go. Hey.
And we'll go into it a bit more.
Yeah, we'll go into a bit more later.
You can get poison that like starts necrotizing the body and starts dealing necrotic damage. Yeah.
Yep.
Heck, a poison that affects a creature's electrical signals in their nervous system could arguably cause lightning damage. Basically, there's a lot of wiggle room here, so don't let all that poison immunity get in your way. Idea number 2 is to avoid the damage type altogether and focus your poisons on conditions. Remember that poison immunity is just for the poison damage type, so other effects, including the poison condition, can still apply.
Okay, he's
What's
got
that?
it.
More creatures have immunity to the poison condition than any other condition too? Okay, here's how we can solve this part. While poisons of the basic rules use other conditions like blinded, incapacitated, and even the state of not being able to knowingly speak a lie, they always lock those conditions behind the poison condition and always include a saving throw. So creatures immune to the poison condition don't even have to worry about these secondary ones, and everybody still has a chance to avoid it. And that's fine, there should be a chance to avoid the effects of most poisons, but hear me out. Let's just say your character harvests the petrifying venom of a cockatrice. Risky, but I have had players in my game do that before. If that extracted venom is then applied to a weapon or slipped into a target's wine, the target is technically being poisoned, but do you think that target should have to save against the poison condition? I definitely do not.
No, yeah, I would immediately go, like, they have to save against the petrifying condition, right? Like that,
not poison.
It's not like you are being poisoned, but you are not being poisoned.
Yeah.
Right, which is a weird thing to say, but you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
They should just save against the petrified condition, like how it works when the target is being bitten by a cockatrice. So I think when a target ingests or is otherwise attacked with poison, they should just be poisoned or not, depending on the substance and their immunity to the condition. Then, they only have to save against the other, more dramatic conditions that could result from the exposure to this poison.
I think the main problem that 5e has is, like, for poison specifically, is having it also be its own condition that, like, as he's pointed out, gates things off, but, like, is itself... I was thinking,
I was thinking how to make that this exact point.
Mm-hmm. It's just, it itself is an act, but it is also treated as every time you are doing that act, you are creating that condition, which is true technically, but mechanically it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because not all poisons are going to be the same. They aren't all going to be able to just be fucking shaken off like that. So, like, having it so that instead of saving for a poison, you save for just the paralyze, or you save for, unconsciousness, which, Fuck it, yeah, why not? Just
Yeah.
save against falling asleep and save, all that kind of stuff. It just makes more logical sense that that's what you're doing instead of going, I'm actually going to be unable to attack you very well.
Yeah, regardless
Like,
of what the poison actually
right,
was.
exactly. It's like you can obviously flavor it and go, well, actually, aren't you like making them more stone, like the stone is kind of calcifying their bones and their body, and they're unable to attack you as easily, right? Sure, yeah, but we're just kind of splitting hairs at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, fuck it, just make it what it does and not a different condition entirely that applies to everything, because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and the other thing is that in that situation, that's clearly just an argument for, can I just have my immunity?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is.
Right. Poison. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Boo. I told Alejo, but now I shall tell you. My most recent experience with poison in a D&D game was, Displacer Beasts, right? And how they have, like, the little, like, tentacles on their backs with, like, the pads that look like the ends of squid tentacles.
Yeah, those little whippy wappy tails that they slap you with.
Yeah. So the whippy wappy tails actually contained venom sacs.
Okay.
And the Displacer Beast had, like, its inherent, like, blur effect around it from older editions, but not in 5e.
Okay.
So, like, I had my players, like, do essentially a coin toss as to whether or not they could even hit before they had to check against AC. But at the end of those whippy wappy tail things, the contained a venom, which caused the eyes to or the pupils to dilate of the victims that it was hit, and like they'd be essentially that heads or tails disadvantage would start to apply to anything or any vision-based skill check.
Nice. I like it.
However, this effect stacked with the blur effect of the Displacer Beast and made them real rough to hit.
Yeah, but that's smart.
Because it's a flat 1 in 4 chance before you take into account AC.
Yeah, Jesus.
Granted, the Displacer Beast died before it got the chance to use the poison.
Yeah.
It poisoned one individual and then died before that individual's turn.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And I'm
Time to use two.
Yeah, I was able to give the flavor text of the whole world starts to blur, and they're like had to look like what, and then immediately they died. I'm like, cool.
Yeah, right.
Lucky you.
Poison is also horribly gate kept. It's incredibly hard to buy, harvest, and find, not to mention it's very costly, so why would you waste the gold for it? On top of that, most saves are pitifully low.
Yeah.
Yes. Just
yeah. Not to mention Constitution is usually not a dump stat. So
right, yeah. And what I would say actually is the gold thing isn't even that big of a problem for buying it. It's more finding the
people who will sell it.
The people who actually sell it, right? And if cuz we've talked about it before, what are you spending your gold on? Really, if you think about it. Most people don't play with ammo, and I know these are anecdotal things, but most people don't play with ammo. Most people don't care about encumbrance. Magic items are annoyingly priced weirdly, it's this whole thing of fuck it. But if you actually do allow them to make poisons and stuff, you can have it be something that's interesting at least.
Yes.
And if you make it so that you do this, I'm on board with this so far of both of these ideas that have been thrown about. If you actually make it so that you can actually make poison fucking a thing that that you can use. Like we were talking about in the beginning, if somebody makes a character whose thing is being a poisoner, like, and it's so shitty that you can't use it in combat very efficiently because most things don't get affected by it at all. You can obviously, roleplay it so that you're less of a damage dealer in the fights and stuff, but it also can turn people off from that mechanic because, you see the big number, you want to do the big number sometimes. But if you do this, then it's like, oh,
I can do stuff now.
Yeah, you've made it so that the support can still be supportive, but also still get in that damage and stuff with that little extra thing. It's like it's like why Twin Blades in Monster Hunter have such high element.
Yeah.
Right? Like they do little, like, less damage technically, but
but that's what the element's for.
Exactly. They're able to paralyze and sleep shit much faster than other weapons.
Now, the other big problem brought up in that thread is that poisons are expensive. And they're right. The cheapest dose of poison listed in the basic rules costs 100 gold. It's the second most expensive piece of adventuring gear. And it goes all the way up to 1500 gold per dose for those really cool midnight tiers I mentioned at the beginning of the video. That would be the most expensive piece of adventuring gear if it were on the same list. And to an extent, this makes sense. Poisons are dangerous to find, dangerous to make and use, and obviously illegal. So unless your setting has a poisoners guild regulating the prices, the manufacturer can charge whatever they want. But it's just too steep for anyone but seasoned adventurers to afford to use on an even semi-regular basis, especially considering the stunted utility of poisons that we already talked about.
Absolutely. The combination of the price plus the usage is just like, why the fuck are they like this?
Yeah.
Why would you make it so that we can't even use it? Like, I don't understand.
And the high penalties for crafting your own poisons, which we're about to talk about. So first, for the price, I say cut them at least in half, if not just drop a 0 from every one. Remember.
Whoa.
So, yeah, either half or,
I don't know about dropping a 0.
Wait,
That
depends on some.
Did he say drop the price of the poison to 0?
No, drop a 0 from the price.
Yeah, like that I'm like not as into. I'm more okay with the half pricing, but like,
dropping a 0 is a little extreme in some cases.
Instead of going from fucking 200 to 20 gold, I don't know about that, but Crawler Mucus at 20. That Crawler Mucus would be the 15. Let's be honest here. Like, come on, like.
Yeah, well, like, crawlers aren't commonly found or fought, though.
Unless in your world they are.
Potentially, yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. We'd have to really think about it, I think, to really come up with a good pricing list for all of these. But right off the bat, just off the top of my head, I don't know about this. So, again, I'm okay with the half pricing, at least in concept.
I would go 3/4.
Sure.
This is only for a single dose. And if we just accidentally made poisons too affordable, again, it's illegal, it's dangerous, there are a multitude of ways you could justify raising the price.
We also have to slash the price of creating them, because it's, 50 gold for making a poison dosage and being able to harvest the stuff and all that kind of shit that I talked about before. We need to lower that or heighten it even to make it so that, different poisons cost different amounts of gold, because it literally just has a blanket statement of making a poison is 50 gold and the harvesting of the creature or plant that you need, right?
Yeah, because I can imagine that I doubt it's equally as dangerous to work with, like, Nightshade as it is to work with, I don't know, like Black Mamba venom.
Right, yeah.
Now back to the DMG for rules on crafting and harvesting
here we go.
poison.
Okay.
And boy, are they unforgiving. The creature must be incapacitated or dead,
Right.
and the harvesting requires 1d6 minutes, followed by a DC 20 intelligence nature check.
Yeah, so I talked about it before. Just give me a flat fucking minute. What's with the randomness? That doesn't make any sense. And then like 20 in your nature, which you can, granted, add your proficiency to from your poisoner's kit if you are proficient in poisoner's kits.
Which nobody
or
is.
tools. Right, because no one is right now, right? But, like, otherwise, you better have a proficiency in nature, my man.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, he'll probably get to it, but if you fail by 5, you get poisoned by whatever it is you're going for.
The thing is, that's fair.
That's fine. That's fine with
I
me.
like that, actually.
But I think, I don't know, part of me is also like, if it's a plant, I don't know about that.
You accidentally prick yourself with the thorns.
I guess, but
Unless it doesn't have thorns, in which case you prick yourself on a leaf.
on a leaf, yeah, you get a leaf cut real
Yeah.
quick.
Ow.
Owie.
Hey, to be fair, nettles are nettles
yeah.
are a thing.
True.
But they're used for tea.
But so like I'm okay with it to a degree because like I've always seen, again, proficiency as like, well, you have the basic training, right? Especially if you have a poisoner's kit proficiency. Some of these things I think would just be like, fuck it, you're good. Right?
So now here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is precedent for very skilled people getting poisoned.
Sure.
So for example, the I don't remember what disease they were fighting. I think it was actually Ebola at one point. But people were doing testing for like an Ebola vaccine, which did wind up getting made. And there were a number of doctors and nurses and shit who accidentally pricked themselves with a fucking Ebola needle.
Yeah, you know what?
You would think in that case, and considering their position, how the fuck do you do that?
No, you're right. You're right.
It's impossible.
It's a good reference, at least. Yeah.
In fairness, I have stabbed myself with a needle full of hydrochloric acid.
Well, there you go as well.
Okay.
So
how?
So I forget how exactly I did it, but I was looking to remove it from like, I think it was a vial
from your
or
victim.
something.
Yeah.
From my victim, yeah.
Yeah.
And typically when you move needles, the safest way to do it is you move one hand at a time. So like the other hand that you potentially can stab is staying still and you know where to avoid it.
Okay.
And I decided to, I think I was uncapping it. And I just needed to gently like uncap the needle.
Gotcha.
And instead I fucking like hauled back with both hands. And like pulled, and the needle like flew out of the cap, like just by a couple millimeters, and then I was like, "Oh no, back in you go!" And that was when I missed putting it back in the cap and put it in my finger.
Gotcha.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was last year.
fair enough.
So
now I know how a scientist can stab himself with his own instruments.
There you are. Yes, you have first-hand
it
example.
happens.
Literally.
I didn't even think about that.
Did you know hydrochloric acid inside the body does not feel stellar?
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So okay. I have been
would
put in
say
my place.
What I would
will
say
concede.
though is if you have proficiency, you only poison yourself on a botch.
Sure. I would be down for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, because that way the chance is still there, but it's much lower. That's the thing with like Call of holy shit, that's 2 green slime X. Anyway, another 2? Holy shit. Anyway, that way there's still the chance for it. Or I'm sorry, there's stuff in Call of Cthulhu where sometimes you just do it.
Yep.
And it's as you get more skilled, it is harder to botch.
Yes. Yep. That's right.
So I want to say it's like until you reach a certain point, you botch on a 96 to 100, and then once you get high enough, it's only on a 100.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember something like that. Yeah. Okay.
I have to look at the exact rule.
Yeah. So, I retract. I'm perfectly happy with this then. I'm 110% on board so far with him as a poisoner, person that has made 2 poisoners. Yes, please.
as a poisoner,
as a bit of a poisoner myself.
All right, let's just say 10 minutes, and great, a check with the ability score that everyone except wizards and artificers makes their weakest stat. Instead of DC 20, I would just use the same DC required to save against that particular poison's effects. Simple.
It's also not a bad idea, I don't think.
The character harvests enough poison for a single dose. On a failed check, the character is unable to extract any poison. If the character fails the check by 5 or more, the character is subjected to the creature's poison. Okay, I actually like the risk and reward here, but this risk is way too high for this reward, for a single dose especially. I would totally have the crafter suffer those effects on a natural 1, but most people don't actually
That was a 7.
like using critical fumbles, so this whole penalty idea is just kinda counterintuitive. However, if the crafter exceeds the DC by 5 or 10, they could automatically harvest a second dose of poison. And since this part...
I really think that if you have access to a creature and you succeed enough to get like that going, you should be able to get more than just a single dose in general, right?
Yeah.
Is that
because
I'm not a fan of it. So like,
oh no, okay.
A cobra only has 2 venom sacs.
Yes.
A third venom sac doesn't appear just because you beat the DC by 5.
No. That's not what I'm saying is I feel like each creature should have an amount that they can give, right? And then you should be able to get that amount of it.
Yeah, because the thing is, in the case of a cobra, you don't need the entire venom sac. That would be enough to kill an elephant.
Yeah, it has like a D4 plus 1 doses.
Exactly, right? Like that like if we
need like a drop.
Yeah, if we included like, and I know this is a lot more work than maybe some people would want, but I would say if we included some stats of like if you got that creature's like if you were able to harvest from that creature, it would have this amount, and you could roll it out like that D4 plus 1, right? So that you're always at least given 2. But like there's the chance that it will have enough that you can get that you don't just fuck up and miss out on. And so we could have this. I guess we could, I know people hate tables, but we could have a table for like small creatures, medium creatures, large creatures, and so on and so forth that could give certain amounts, right? That we could roll on and be like, okay, that way we don't have to go for each individual creature. We could then just go, it's a large creature, it's a D6 plus 2. Okay, roll that out, good. You get that many if you succeed,
Simplifies it.
Yeah.
Isn't explained anywhere in the rules. I'd say a creature could have a total number of available doses equal to half their CR rounded down.
No, I don't want to use CR.
Yes, because CR doesn't mean a damn thing.
Yeah, I like. I know what it's supposed to mean, but also like.
But it doesn't.
Or something. I just made that up.
But regardless, it is a way to do it, and I'm fine with that because it does mean that it could have more than one, I suppose.
Now let's look back at the basic vial of poison in the PHB to find our rules for applying it. You can use poison in this vial to coat 1 slashing or piercing weapon or up to 3 pieces of ammunition. That seems like important info that 1 dose can be used 3 times for ammunition. Also, it's weird that they restrict bludgeoning weapons when other poisons take effect simply on contact. Anyway, applying the poison takes an action.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, it would
Vial of Target should technically be able to be used on a club.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a thing that I think any DM could just say, no, it's fine. You can do whatever you want with that.
Yeah. I hadn't considered it just because I had never been faced with this problem, but
Exactly.
like, I'd absolutely hand wave that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I already rule that most contact poisons are just switched to being injury anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So fuck it at that point. It depends on how big the creature is and how you refine its purity. Oh yeah, yeah. That's true as well. That's the thing. The more, I guess, it would be one of those things of like the higher. It would be a combination of size as well as DC for getting the poison. If we want to keep it at that 20, I guess we could. I don't know about that. We'd have to do some fine tuning for that as well, I think.
Immediately sounds like it might not be worth it.
Oh, here's an idea. Sorry, I'm thinking about it. So you have the table, right? And you have the sizes and the die that you would roll to get the however many doses you could get from a creature. Now I've just thought about plants. Anyway, think about that later.
A large plant.
That's right, large plant.
So
you have those, and then we can put in a scale of like success, right? You get to your base is 15, maybe, or 10. I don't know. It depends, right? However, how difficult do we want to make poisoning? 15 would probably be a good base, I think. And then higher than 15, you could get like it to be more refined, so you could maybe have an additional or have it be a more pure form where it's more potent, right? So like you get rewarded for having a higher roll is what I'm going for, at least. Just something to reward you for being specifically specialized, a thing that is foreign to 5e, being specialized in, it's not foreign, it's just, it's being specialized in the poisoning kind of thing, and being specialized in nature and harvesting this poison. And you could still have if you get 5 under, you still get fucking nicked, right? But it makes it harder for when you are so proficient, that you're not going to be able to nick yourself as easily. Anyway.
But check out that last part. Once applied, the poison retains potency for 1 minute before drying. So you do have 10 rounds to land that poisoned attack, and even though it doesn't specifically state it here, both the contact and injury poison types do say that the poison only loses potency when touched, when delivered through a wound, or when washed off. So it is just 1 successful attack per dose with a melee weapon. And
I did actually want to bring up as well, 3.5 has this, but it's a little different. So, if I go to page 296 of my Dungeon Master's Guide for 3.5, here we go. A poisoned weapon or object retains its venom until the weapon scores a hit or the object is touched, unless the poison is wiped off before the target comes in contact with it. Any poison smeared on an object or exposed to the elements in any way, if the vial containing it is left unstopped, for instance, remains potent until it is touched or used. Doesn't say a minute, it just says until it's touched.
Until it's used, yeah.
Or used, which is very interesting to me. 3.5 had it so that you just always had poison ready, basically, which is interesting. I don't know.
I guess
if
because most poisons, well, I guess it depends on the kind of poison, but a lot of times poisons are just proteins.
Sure.
So it's not alive.
Yeah.
In general, yes.
Yeah.
I assume potency would be decreased after a certain amount of time, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I'm no poisonician.
I'm no scientician.
Yeah, I am no scienceman, poisonologist.
That's
actually
right.
That might be a real one. Because I'm making fun of Aiden that one time he said artisan.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm fully aware.
Oh yeah, no, I knew that Alejo wasn't.
Yes, I actually did not know.
Yeah.
No. In fairness to me, I was very sleep deprived.
Oh, I know.
Oh, of course.
It was just
That
funny,
seems
you know?
obvious to me. Half your proficiency level you can harvest. No, he said half of your proficiency level you can harvest added onto it for the table that I was talking about. Maybe, I don't know. This is the thing. We'd have to really go into it, but I'm just kind of throwing things off the top of my head now that I'm thinking about them. You know.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. But if you want to know the best weapon for delivering a poison in D&D, check out this video on the worst weapon in the game. Trust me, that makes sense. And thank you for your support.
Oh, it's the blowgun.
And keep building.
That makes sense.
I guarantee you, it's the. You know what?
Wow.
Maybe we should check that real quick. Because I just want to see if I'm right.
Sure.
But we don't have to. We don't have to.
I'm sure it is, though.
Yeah, it's probably is.
Yeah,
But-
I'm sure it is too.
Yeah, Aiden's sure it is. So.
Because it is literally a damage, and it can throw the poison darts, and that's about it. Or a dart in general, and that's about it. Considering immunities and stuff that's out there, it would be the worst.
Mm-hmm.
It's a short video, like 6 minutes. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it's less on topic of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and it would take us 60.
that's right.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's Best Poison House Rules for D&D 5e from Bob World Builder. Go check it out. It'll be in the description. But now
I seem to remember we liked his other video.
we liked everything but that one D&D buying guide that didn't tell us much of anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
He made an updated
yeah.
one. He did make an updated one for 2022, which I do want to look at some point, maybe. Just to see what his new perspective is on it. And if he actually gives more information this time.
Yeah. Yeah, so long as like he actually gives a perspective this time,
Yeah.
I'd be happy.
Exactly. But regardless, that's that video. And now,
Excuse me.
I would love to have you take the floor, Boo.
Okay. So, like he said in the video, I think one of the most important things that we should do with poisons is add poisons that do elemental damage.
Mm-hmm.
So, the thing that I came up with, because I'll explain this a little bit more because nobody, other people might not have context. Sure. But one of the things that I always wanted to do was make a poisoner who uses a blowgun because it's cool. And I wanted to make a poisoner that uses a blowgun, and then I was going to introduce a whole bunch of different plants into the world that's like, oh man, I can harvest this plant because I'm a ranger and I've got nature and I'm really good at this. And my whole thing is that like my people were small and we had to hunt using poisons because we were, not exactly, formidable fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Because we small. And we're not like chonky halflings or dwarves. And so there was going to be something like steam weed, where it grows in cold environments, and it's called steam weed because it melts the snow around it so it can get more moisture. It prevents itself from, dying in the winter by melting the snow and getting, water. And then there's other things that, do similar shit. And the thing that I came to in wanting to improve poisons is changing and actually adding more categories to poison, where you have poison and then you also have venom.
Right.
And then on top of having venom, you would have I forget the exact name for what it actually is, but there are neurotoxins and I think hemotoxins, I think it is.
Yeah,
Or
like the boom slang, clots blood, stuff like that.
yes. And there are things that just cause like cell literal just necrosis, stuff like that.
Yeah, necrotizing poisons.
Yes.
A very common example attacks. Oh fuck, I forget what the medical term for the liver is. Not lysis. Lysis is when you cause cells to split. I will get you the term in just a second. Continue with your point.
Okay. And so I wanted to add all this different stuff. So you might be immune to poison, but you are not immune to a venom, or maybe you are immune to a kind of venom. You know, you're immune to neurotoxic venom. So, for example, the example that I came to would be a slime.
Hip
So,
havoc.
So slimes.
A very common example would be Advil.
Oh.
Yeah.
In high doses will absolutely chew the fuck out of your liver.
That's true.
So slimes, they do not have a central nervous system, so I would say that they are completely immune to a neurotoxin, obviously.
Sure.
But I would say that they're actually not immune to like a not neurotoxin, the hemotoxin, essentially. And so the way I would describe it is it gets hit with the toxin, and because a slime is essentially just a mass of jelly-like living cells, the poison can spread very, very quickly, and it just begins to dissolve the same way you dissolve a slug by pouring salt on it.
Sure, yeah.
It'd be very similar to that, and actually be a very, very effective way of killing slimes without them splitting. Because that's a very common thing where you cut a slime, it splits into two, and now you've got two slimes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so really the idea is just adding more poison types. And it's really simple. It would just add a bit more paperwork on the DM's part, because it's like, oh, okay, so I'm throwing snakes at my players. They don't do poison, they do neurotoxin.
Sure, yeah.
And so you can still, this also doesn't even do anything to a lot of the different, like immunities and stuff. So you're not like fucking over undead, because they're still going to be immune to like all of it, because,
right.
you know, you might be able to cause necrosis in a zombie, but it's not going to affect it. It's already necrotizing. And skeletons, good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Although, honestly, you might be able to still hit it with a cockatrice poison, because, you know, it causes the bones to become even more brittle and just fuse together effectively.
Yeah.
Ah, great. Now instead of a skeleton coming at you, you've got a living statue.
Yeah. Except it can't move at all. And so it's actually just a statue. So it's a really simple solution, but I think it bears talking about, because simplicity can be elegant.
Yeah. I was gonna say, just like he was talking about before with like, you can
elemental poisons.
Yeah, you can make it elemental and such. And I really like the idea of expanding it out, because it's just like, why not? You know, we have examples that we can go from.
Yeah, and it's not really hard for you to house rule, because like it's just not, especially when you know a quick explanation of what the poison actually does to the victim is really all you need to know. It's like, okay, would this work?
And if you really don't want to worry about like, you know, specific terminology, you can just go by damage type. You know?
Yeah.
Like it's super easy.
You can make it even simpler by just saying like blood poison.
Yeah.
Blood poison, brain poison, or like spine, you know, that kind of shit.
Totally. And it
just simplify it way down.
Yeah. It's something that can be as heady or as simple as you want it to be.
Yeah.
No, I'm super for that. And if I ever ran a thing and you ever wanted to do that, I would totally allow that. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Right?
I would just want to introduce those plants.
Yeah, absolutely. We could talk about that and just come up with plants and make sure that they're in the right environments. And it just be one of those things where it's just environment dependent, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You know, you're not going to find a steam weed in, you know, the plains, because there's no need for it wouldn't have evolved there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It it adds both that overcoming of the shortcomings of poison in 5e, and as well can add a lot of world building to a world very easily, which is very cool.
And who knows what else that might be used for? Maybe steam weed is used for, you use steam weed, like people use the steam weed to boil tea.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be cool.
Like, yeah, you have them. So you have these plants that have more than just that capability, but they also can be a poison.
Yeah. Or you could put them in a flower pot, and people in cold environments just use them to heat their homes.
I'm already picturing, I'm picturing stuff like that, and I'm picturing like you go out into the wastes of the tundra, right? And it's been like 3 days, and you're cold as shit, but you got to get through it, and you find a field of this steam weed that just is there so that you can heat up in. Or like
it's like a hot spring.
It can create its own hot spring or sauna, exactly.
Yeah, and then you've got hot spring monkeys that are like, "Hey, fuck you!"
Yeah, hell yeah.
Spring, and then they attack.
That's right. Yeah.
And then I think the other thing that I think would be really cool. This would take even more imagination, but I would love it if it happened. Imagine, you're walking through that cold spot. Like the tundra, and the paladins walking around in full plate as they're wont to do.
Right.
And the steam weed, it melts the snow, but it's also creating water vapor. And so you're walking through that. It's like, oh man, this is really nice. We can finally cool down. You sit there, and then you warm up, and then you continue. But now you're walking through the tundra, and you've got water all over you.
Oh yeah.
So now you've got ice forming on your armor.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, we got to go back to the steam weeds. I'm literally freezing solid here.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes
so you could also add a lot of dangers to them too.
Yeah.
And that's just from one plant just being hot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great.
That's all you need, right? Just that one little idea. What if plant hot though?
Yeah. What if hot plant?
What if hot plant in cold place? Go.
And then you can do the opposite thing, where you've got a cold plant in a hot place.
Yeah, it's a very cool idea. I'm super down for that.
And what if you have out in the fields? What if you have a carnivorous plant that can eat livestock?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That'd be fucking scary.
Yeah. You have your Venus flytrap, but big. Right? What if Venus flytrap, but eat pig?
Yeah.
Right? Like, my
fucking cat went missing. I need you to go find it.
Yeah.
It's a Venus flytrap the size of a house.
Yeah.
I had a plan in a campaign that covered a few square miles.
There you go.
Nice.
So
but yeah, that's honestly my whole thing. I'm glad it got so roundly accepted.
No, absolutely. Well, that's the thing. It is such a cool idea, and it would add so much. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not hard to make something very accepted if it's just gonna be very cool and
it's
super
cool,
easy
and
to
it helps.
implement.
And it fucking that would be the only thing. It's for the DMs out there who don't mind doing all the additional world building and also the keeping track of what kind of venom does this have? Does it have venom and poison? In addition, the poison thing. I also agree that if you eat a poison, you're just poisoned.
Yeah.
You just get poisoned.
Yeah. The going for the effect more so than the condition.
Yeah, it's the whole, a rogue stabs you in the neck at night. Do you take 1d4 damage, or are you just dead?
Yes, exactly.
It's that.
Right, and we gotta have some liberties here, because again, without that, poison is fucking useless.
Yes.
Completely
worthless.
Why not? Because I think the one they give in the player's handbook even is DC 11, if I had to guess, but I don't remember. Let me check
earlier when we were muted, Aiden was talking about a poison called Assassin's Tears, I think it was.
Yeah, that was in
Assassin's Blood.
Assassin's Blood.
Assassin's Blood, yeah.
And it has a DC of 10.
Yeah, that's right. And it's just nothing.
Yep, it's just terrible.
Because that's the thing, right?
Yeah, it's too weak.
It's
useless.
I don't know why. I get it. It's literally you can see the tiers of poison just from that, because that is for 1 to 3.
Yeah.
Like first to third level, you're never seeing that again.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you really vamp it up, you know?
Yeah. And the problem is that
Mhm.
in that context, no assassin would use it if it was that easy to survive.
Exactly.
Maybe that's why it's called Assassin's Tears, because nobody ever fuck dies to
Right,
it.
exactly.
It's like just a crying Wojak.
Except it's not called Assassin's Tears, though.
It's called Assassin's Tears, fuck you. I'm just gonna call it that now because I keep fucking it up.
Yeah,
the save face somehow.
The basic poison.
Life is all about knowing your limitations.
Yeah.
The basic poison itself in the player's handbook on page 153 is just called Poison Basic, and it's a DC 10, and it does a D4 more damage. And that's it. That's all it does.
Now I know why those assassins are crying so much.
Right, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's it's something that and you know what? I hope that in 5.5 that is coming in 2 years, that they revamp poison. I hope that that's a thing. I want them to bring back ability damage poison, please. I was talking about that before as well, but I looked at the 3.5 poison list, and they're all mostly ability damage. Like, that's the reason why they're deadly, because they will do damage to your ability score and not your actual like health most of the time. Mm-hmm. So it actually does more than just, getting you a little boo-boo. It actually puts you in a position that's worse off than you would be.
Oh, so like a poison.
So like a poison would. Yeah, crazy.
Oh my god.
I know.
Crazy.
Systems that are deadly like Conan or Warhammer benefit the most out of poison because of the mortality of characters in the world. They're not fantasy superheroes. They're a lot more grounded.
Yes.
5.5 isn't fixing poison. I doubt that's on the top of their priorities. Hey, you never know. To be fair, let's
that would be nice.
It would be nice.
This
is the thing. If enough playtesters say poison needs to be revamped, they might actually do it. They might actually do it. So be the change you want to see in the world, and
Indeed.
write to your local congressman.
Write to your local wizard on the coast.
That's right, and tell them that we
want better poison.
They should revamp poison, make it a little bit more useful.
Yeah.
I don't know. But who knows? 2 years, we'll see what that's all about.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. That's kind of like the topic, really.
Yeah, it's a really simple topic. It's a really simple thing. It's a simple fix for a simple solution.
It really is, because like, I understand at least a little bit like why they did what they did to the monsters, so that it was for balancing reasons, but in that process, they also
neutered one of your own damage types.
Yeah, they screwed one of the damage types out of being something that anyone would go for, really. Yeah, you can go for it for thematic reasons and narrative reasons and all that kind of stuff, but most of the time, you could do that with anything else.
Yeah, and it'll still be effective.
It will be, usually. Like, the only time where poison comes into play for the narrative can be when somebody poisons the king, right? And then that's like, oh my god. Or when you're trying to poison somebody who isn't going to be immune to it, unless they are something in disguise that is immune to it.
In which case, they're pretty much always immune to it, which is the problem.
But in that case, you have something completely different on your hands as well. Like, that's not the thing isn't kill the king with poison now. It is, oh my god, what the fuck is the king? Kill it.
That's fair.
Right? Like, and the poison is basically just a step to get to the point of you were revealing what the king actually is.
Yeah, so the poison was worthless all along.
Well, no,
so
it's a valuable step.
My point. It was a valuable step, but the poison remained useless.
The king is one of 760 stat blocks.
Have fun, motherfucker.
That's true. But now you know.
Indeed.
There was a book in 3.x called Poison, I think, that just lists tons of different poisons and how to make them. Work around immunity and resistance. I have the book, but it's in storage. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Maybe I'll look into it in the future and get ideas from it. But that's cool. Dear Joe Biden, tell Wizards of the Coast to get their shit together and fix poison. Sincerely,
Indeed.
August. P.S. Thank you for student loan forgiveness. The poison was the friends we slayed along the way. That's right. So yeah, I mean, that's basically the topic. And really, we could go into another video about it, but it's really just going to be more of like
the same thing.
Yeah.
I find it fitting though that the amount of time that we spent discussing videos on poison is just as much thought as WotC put into poison.
Oh, yeah. True.
Maybe slightly more.
Maybe slightly. Only slightly.
Well, we have standards on this show.
True. So, let me get to we'll do comments and we'll do patrons and such last this time around. So
Don't we always do that last?
Well, usually we do a midpoint thing. But
right.
Yeah, but this time around we'll just do the one thing. So let's get over to comments. Bop, 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 bop. And there we are. Okay. Actually, let me refresh this just in case there are any more. Nope. Cool. Okay. So, from last week, with ability scores and levels, this is Timothy Martin saying, "Ahoy there, lads. Not really much to say on the topic. Deep thought wise, besides saying I like stats and levels. But if someone walked up to me and asked me to come up with something new to replace stats and levels on the spot, I'm not sure if I could. I guess I just have not that much, or I guess I just have not put much thought into it till now. I will ponder on it for a while. Thanks for the show. Hope everyone is good. Hopefully next time I will have more to say on the topic everybody's talking about, or maybe I can throw out some random ideas I have for roleplay characters or whatever. Let me know. Comment whatever you want. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, Timothy Martin on the same video. 2 for 1 time. Got to Shad's video in the VOD, and I totally agree with you that grinding is in everything to some degree. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like Shad thought back then that it's not a true accomplishment if you grind, but at least to me, it means a lot because it took work to get to that point. I understand if one finds it boring, but if you put the effort in, it means something. Sometimes Shad thinks too realistically when it comes to games. I know he's a history buff by trade, but come on, pal. That being said, if being real makes the game better for him, then great. What I said is just nitpicking at the end of the day, but I guess I would get well at I would gel well at his table. Okay, bye-bye, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Shad was, again, he was just going for preference rather than actual, actual things that we could change that would work. And he was tying bad things to the levels because of his preference rather than because levels themselves are bad, because they're not. So yeah, you know, it was a depressing video.
Yeah, God.
It really was. It was, the less I have to think about it, the better.
Yes. I have gone 7 days without thinking again about that video, and you know what? It's been pretty good.
Yes, me as well. Oh, found it. Pale Designs, a Poisoner's Handbook. There you go. Okay.
Oh.
Thank you. I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Perhaps add it to the collection.
Sounds beyond the pale.
Oh. Next comment.
Get it? Get it because no, guys, you're not laughing. Do you get it?
I wasn't listening. What?
So Lux on last week says, going in, I was expecting the question to be whether it was necessary to represent a character's basic abilities numerically in an RPG, rather than whether we should derive modifiers from ability scores instead of generating them directly. Technically, if the ability score didn't exist, then the modifier itself would also be the ability score. To answer that first question, I'm pretty sure I remember Fate not using ability scores like that. You just pick out some things your character can do and determine how good they are at them. So that's simple enough. Of course, just because you make a system that doesn't use ability scores, that doesn't mean we have to abandon the concept. There's nothing inherently detrimental about using ability scores. They're not hard to understand. Now, to answer the question of why we still use ability scores in the context that Nerdarchy intended. Mainly because, why not? The way the system already works is fine. Changing it wouldn't make it significantly better. That said, if we did want to roll modifiers directly, the simplest way would be to roll 1d8 and subtract 4, giving you a range between -4 and +4, which is equivalent to what you could get by rolling 3d6 for ability scores. This would actually most likely give you low stats for a hero, though, more appropriate for an NPC, so you should find a way to get better results for PCs. I like the way that Aiden said that one time. When he said that one thing.
What did I say? I know it was 1d6.
It was 1d6, and you subtracted another d6
Oh,
from it.
yeah. Do it, positive and a negative d6.
Yeah. It still got me low shit, but it was cool. I rolled 2 dice. I don't know about 5e, but the 3.5 PHB says you should scrap your results and reroll all 6 of your ability scores if the sum of your modifiers is less than 0, or if your highest ability score is 13 or lower. 13 gives you a modifier of +1, so you should probably reroll if none of your modifiers are greater than +1. This is on page 8 of the 3.5 PHB. Thank you.
Unless you are Rogan playing
That's
a
right.
Dozy.
Playing in a dozy. Yeah, that's right. What can I say about Shad's video? His conclusion was a non sequitur. It doesn't follow his argument. He argued against grinding, then concluded that levels were stupid. We all know this. I'm just summarizing.
I'm glad I wasn't there for that. That would have made me mad.
Yeah, oh yeah. It was, again, disappointing. What I will add is that if grinding is something you want to completely eliminate from a game, milestone leveling solves that neatly. Players aren't going to grind if they're just going to be promoted to whatever level they are meant to be when they reach a certain point in the story. It would be pointless. True. Although milestone experience isn't generally used in video games, it could be. Chrono Cross, the sequel to Chrono Trigger that came out for the PS1, actually did implement a version of it. Basically, the game didn't use experience points, but every time you beat a boss, the entire party would gain a level.
Ooh.
Characters could still occasionally get a minor increase to one of their attributes at the end of a minor battle. But these increases weren't large or important enough to make grinding for them worthwhile. You could just go through the game only fighting the enemies you happen to run into, and even dodging past some if you didn't feel like fighting them, and you would be fine. I've actually never understood why more games didn't pick that system up, because it was actually pretty brilliant. I prefer it much more than the level scaling system that a lot of RPGs went with instead. Nothing ruins a game for me like level scaling. Also, for reasons I won't go into, I'm going to have to piss a lot of people off this week, so I probably won't be catching the stream this time. If it's still going after I get off work, I might hop in, but we'll see. If I do make it in, hello, future Lux. I hope you're doing okay and take care of yourself. Past Lux, I worry about you. Good night.
I see.
You're fine, Lux. Don't worry about it. I noticed you weren't around, and I figured it was for a good reason. That's like I figure everyone who isn't around is not here for a good reason.
Except
because
in my
they have
case.
better things to do. They
Better have their absence justified.
No.
Attendance is mandatory in this class.
That's right. Um,
Unless you're asleep like me.
that's right.
Yeah.
Hosts get a little bit of a privilege, let's be fair.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. If none of the hosts show up within 15 minutes of the start of the stream, can the audience legally leave?
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Yes.
Stream's not happening. What are they here for?
So that's comments. Now, moving over to the Patreon. Oh my god. We have one of those. It's crazy. You can go and give us money for it if you would like. Special thing to note, for those of you who are here now and have made it to this point and didn't hear me in the beginning, the dice are officially on their way. I got the email today with the tracking number for the package. So
Very cool.
they're coming in. And as soon as they do, I will take some pretty pictures and I will make a pretty picture video. And I will go, hello, look at these. Well, actually, what I'm going to do is send them off to patrons.
Will you show it? Will you show it on picture?
No.
Oh.
What I'm actually going to do is once I get them, I'm going to hopefully have the PO box set up, and then I'm going to send them off to each of the hosts as well as our patrons for the few that I got for us. And then once I have them all sent out to our patrons, then I'll make the little video showing them off, because then they will be available for sale. So that's
Alejo,
the plan.
I have a recommendation for you.
Okay.
So you know how we have like tabletop, like the set of 7 dice?
Yes.
You should also just sell D6s for Warhammer players.
So yeah, that was an idea. That was going to be a future thing. At some point potentially. We'd have to. There's gonna be many a thing. Future projects and their funding will be a topic for future conversation. But at the moment, this is the first dice set thing. And I was thinking about. I actually really was thinking about just doing a bunch of D6s for our first thing. But it seemed more appropriate to do the full set.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I'm looking forward to my garnet stone dice that are gold leaf with the table on the 20. That's right. Yep. So yeah, they'll be in the video. I'll try to make it as high quality as I can to make it look nice. I did buy a thing to have as a light box. So hopefully I can get some good pictures in there, and such. But, yeah, exciting times. So that all being said, thank you to our patrons for being the main contributors to getting these dice funded. You guys have been giving us that money for quite a while now, some of you. And we appreciate every cent and every moment. Getting us to this point. So thank you. And thank you specifically to Draco Kraken at tier 4. Thanks. Mog Zero at tier 4. Thank you. Rick, aka Unit Rico, at tier 4. Thank you as well. Slazer at tier 4. Thanks. Steely at tier 4. Thank you. Drake Cross at tier 3. Thank you. Chris at tier 2. Thank you. Frozen Spaghetti at tier 2. Thank you as well. Kill Chrono at tier 2. Thank you so much. Lux the Oracle at tier 2. Thank you as well. And of course, last but not least, our tier 1 contributor. Thanks. So If you would like to, you can obviously donate, and if you don't want to, don't do it. Easy as that. And if you're donating
I will
now,
cry myself to sleep though.
that's true. His tears will fill my cup, and I will be happy.
Many bottles of poison will be filled.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes.
And if, of course, anytime, if you guys ever want to stop giving money, please don't hesitate.
Please don't.
Well, no. If you need your money, you take that back. All right, you take your money. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine.
Just know you are taking food out of the hands of the children I do not have.
Exactly. All that imaginary food that they're getting, shit, it's gone.
Yeah.
Also,
it wasn't there to begin with, but now it's really gone.
That's right. Also, of course, you can support us by getting our logo on apparel / items on TeePublic. So go over there if you would like. You can search TableTalk and you'll find us. There's also a link in the description. And last but of course not least, we have Humble Bundle. There's a link in the description, and it's also in our Discord and stuff. All the links and everything are easily found on our website and stuff. I don't talk about the website anymore. I haven't updated the website in a long time. I've just realized right now. Anyway, so go over there using our link, and anything that you buy will support us as well as Tabletop Alliance, which also has a link in the description for your perusal to learn about their charity work. But yeah, right now there's 15 days left on the Pathfinder Bundle that has all the good old PDFs of a lot of the major Pathfinder books, 28 books. I don't know if it's actually major ones. A lot of them though. A lot of adventures and the core rulebook, and I think the bestiary are in there. So a lot to get you started. Very good stuff. As of recording, the maps bundle is almost gone. An hour left. So probably by the time this is done, it'll be gone. And you're fucked. So think about that.
Get fucked, FOD gang.
That's right. Sorry, but you had your chance. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, do whatever you want to do. I'm not your dad, okay? Right. That's about it.
Yep.
I'm not God or your father.
That's right.
I don't believe in God or parents.
Nah, do you guys remember that short dude in the bagel shop?
No.
Short dude in the bagel shop.
There's some short dude in the bagel shop who's like, I don't know if like the girls were like actually looking at him like kind of like ugh, or if he just had like some insecurity about it and just was imagining things. I'm guessing the latter, but he's giving some random woman like utter shit and about like them like treating him different because he's short and whatever.
Right.
And some dude in the line is like, calm down, dude. And he like turns and like in his little fury looks at him, points a stubby little finger, and goes, "You're not God or my father."
Oh my god. The truer statement had never been uttered.
I didn't know about this. That's great. Oh, so full of rage.
I will find it for you. Dude,
Thank you.
He was packing 6 feet and 11 inches of rage in a 4'10" figure.
I was gonna say, as a not as short, but a fellow short, I can say that we do have that much rage in us at times.
Oh yeah.
It is.
Oh yeah, here it is.
You found it? Oh my god.
Oh god, that link's on Facebook. Fuck that.
No, oh god, no. I will not open that if you post that. Anyway, whilst you find that.
Here we go.
Oh, okay. I just want to see it. Oh, okay, it's a video. Okay, I'll look at it after. Okay.
He's very, very, very angry.
Good. All right. Well, thank you all for listening and watching. Appreciate you greatly, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
For more of this
Goodbye.
bullshit.
Goodbye. True.
Yeah, like the stream's ended. Get out of here.
Yes, go on.
Go.
Go on. You have
Be
a
gone,
life.
foul beast.
Jesus, go. We've got your money now. Go.
Oh no.